Tom Madsen here. I'm doing a little experiment with my Substack post. This is the first time I'm recording a video post, so I will look forward to your comments at the end of this post. Um, I wrote on March 26th in the post Right versus Wrong, Right, WRITE. I wrote about the need for a writer to be vulnerable. And listen, several of you wrote really heartfelt and thoughtful comments in that post, and I sincerely thank you for those. It stimulated a rich dialogue, and I look forward to more of the same. But that said, I haven't been 100% vulnerable with my audience, so that's what this video is about. One place I have honored vulnerability was about how our son Kevin's passing in 2018 affected me and my wife, Marilene. I have written at some length on that subject, including my audio post, Other Side, on January 24th. Without a doubt, that's the worst thing that ever happened to me, and we're still working on finding meaning for that 7 years later. But I've held another trauma close to the vest, and it's time to be out with it. My father was an alcoholic. My brother and sister and I could see it even at a young age. He would transform at his second glass of wine, and not in a good way. He slurred, he hung his head, he mistreated my mom, he even got violent with her a few times that I remember, and there were other times that I didn't see, but that my mom told me about years later. And I felt so badly for her. I felt helpless. He would put his pajamas on and go to bed at 6:30 p.m. So I know that my dad's alcoholism affected me, and the impact on me is buried deeply. And I'm sure it affects me in ways that I don't even realize. But one way I know it affects me is that I tried to play peacemaker. As a kid, I tried to cool down my parents' fights. When I failed, I ran sometimes out of fear of the fight, maybe out of shame that I couldn't end it. But I need to forgive my 10-year-old self. Often, I think we try to hold our child self to adult standards of courage. Well, that's not fair, and it's maybe even damaging. A second way that I've been affected by my dad's alcoholism is I tried to diffuse tense situations with humor, even sometimes when humor is not called for. Tense situations make me supremely uneasy. Maybe by writing about this, I will better recognize those situations in the future and do something else. A third impact is that I avoid confrontations. All my life, I felt that there was always a better way than anger, a better way than confrontation. Or I feared that confrontation would escalate to something worse, as it often did between mom and dad. But damn it, there are times when confrontation is exactly what's called for. Injustice demands to be confronted. Injustice without consequences will seep into our existence. That is true at the personal level as well as at the societal level. Now, if you've come this far, you're going to be asking, so Tom, what's your relationship with alcohol? Well, I'd like to think that's a healthier one than my father's. But I do think, gee, am I getting like him? Am I ugly with people as he was sometimes? Do people talk about me, say that I have a problem? Well, I hope not. Dad drank almost every evening. I drink socially and seldom on weeknights, which means that I share beers or the occasional glass of wine with friends. I rarely drink in non-social settings, even when it's just me and my wife, Marilene. I do enjoy sparkling wines on occasions for celebration or on date nights. But even when I'm not having those, still there are times when I think on a weeknight, wow, a glass of bubbly would be great right now. Now, there's a lot of you in this audience that are saying, geez, Tom, I've suffered far worse traumas than an alcoholic parent. Look, I'm not competing here. I know full well that some of you reading this are working through far worse pains than what I suffered. My point is that I bet that many of us are ashamed of our traumas, even though we had no fault in causing them. And by taking the step to air them, we can start the healing process. Because after all, you can't heal what you can't call out. In fact, I believe that airing it is the first step in the healing. Thank you for listening. And as usual, I really welcome your comments.